We've got updated news on the Highlander reboot starring Henry Cavill. The director, Stahelski, spoke to Collider, and we're going to tell you what he said. While we're talking about the Highlander reboot, make sure to do us a big favor. Smash that like button, hit the notifications bell for future content, and most importantly, hit subscribe so we can continue to grow our channel. We've got news on the anticipated Highlander reboot starring Henry Cavill. We're going to get into what that news is right now. So, the director for the Highlander reboot, Stahelski, who you may know directed the John Wick films that have all been successful, he's directing the new Highlander reboot starring Henry Cavill. And there has been some updated news as Stahelski was recently at the Mediterranean Film Festival in Malta, and he spoke with Collider, and he confirmed that the filming for production is getting started in January of 2025. And what's going to end up happening is they're going to start filming in Scotland, and they're going to end up having some other locations around the UK, maybe outside the UK. But we have some good news on the fact that they're starting the filming for what it looks like is a 2026 release, and the film's going to star Henry Cavill, and he spoke more about it. But first things first, Sterling, Highlander reboot, highly anticipated. It's based on the hit 1986 movie starring Christopher Lambert, and was a cult classic. It was one of those movies you rented and you watched on cable over and over again that also starred Sean Connery. So what do you think about this movie, the news that they're actually going to begin principal photography in January of 2025? What are your thoughts around that?
I'm excited for it. I mean, I think a lot of people didn't think this was going to happen, but now looks like it's actually going to happen. I feel like this movie's being made by somebody who loved the originals, and it doesn't feel like they're making it for a modern audience. It feels like they're making it for those same people who have grown up, who love the originals. And that's why I'm excited for this, where I'm not excited about most remakes or reboots. But for this one, I'm actually pumped for it.
Yeah, I am too. And knowing Chad Stahelski and the style that he used for John Wick, what I like about this is he says in the interview and talking about the style of John Wick, and then the prep for the action part of this is not really much different. And so he talked about it, and according to the interview, he says, I'll keep it to the core. Most audiences, he uses the gun analogy for John Wick. Most of what you know about gunfights are car chases, because most of us don't get involved in gunfights or car chases or sword fights. We learn through movies. And what those movies show you is about 95% bullshit. You don't fight 50 guys with your bare hands and then walk away. But it's fun. It's wish fulfillment. So John Wick, we know it's a cartoon. I know it's not. But we also have fun with it. But we do tactical reloads, and we try to do fire manipulations, stuff like professionals do and the military do. But then we have fun with it. Sword work is very much the same. So he's going to bring that style to the sword play. And then he also talks about how do you make that fresh for the year 2026. And he says, to bring it all together and make it something, it's not going to be Princess Bride. It's not going to be Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It's not Master and Commander. It's not Zorro. What's this new look or action or sword fighting that people can get excited about? That keeps me up at night. So that's really cool hearing him talk about the dynamics around the action part of the Highlander. And then he gave a nugget. Also, they gave a nugget about Henry Cavill, who's going to be starring in the film. Henry Cavill, is always in great shape anyway, and you've seen him in projects like Mission Impossible and The Witcher, and then, of course, Superman. But the training that he's doing for this role, he's going to be spending mostly the remainder of 2024 building up and getting ready for this role, which primarily will be around the sword fighting. So I think it's great news. We've got a window now of which this movie's going to be filmed, and for 2026 release, we're probably going to have some more casting news coming out as people that follow this franchise, either in the movies or the TV show, are going to be looking for certain characters to be cast and the world building to begin. But final thoughts, Sterling, 2026, we're getting through this year with Deadpool and Wolverine and Gladiator 2 and some other movies coming out. But, 2026, The Highlander, what are your thoughts? Is this something that that you're looking forward to? You know, what are your final thoughts around Henry Cavill in the movie?
Well, yeah, I think, I mean, I wasn't a fan of the Witcher show. Outside of Henry Cavill and a few others, I thought the casting was atrocious, and it kind of just took me out of it. But the one good thing about that show was the sword fights. And if they're, you know, paying attention to that, and I think he obviously already has training for it, and the director's really focused on action. I think that would be, that in itself will make the movie worth seeing, even if it's just dumb fun. But I think it's got a lot of potential. I mean, the Highlander is, as great as that first movie was, it really kind of went off the rails. And I mean, they could reboot this and actually make a series that makes sense, and it could be great.
Mythology around it,
Yeah,
luring in the Game of Thrones type fans that want to see this.
Because they dropped the ball. I mean, it got to, like, later on in the later movies, I think it brought in aliens and all kind of crazy stuff.
The TV show with Adrian Paul as Duncan MacLeod was actually pretty good.
It was better than the movies. I actually legitimately thought that was a good TV show, and I think if they really try to pay attention, have the lore make sense, I think this is a reboot worth doing and worth watching.
We've got Chad Stahelski, who's a proven hit director. We've got Henry Cavill, who's shown that he can do really well if it's the right project.
He's a proven action star, though. I mean,
Absolutely. Definitely a proven action star. And you've got a story around Highlander that I think is perfectly fit for Henry Cavill. The question now becomes a good script and a good cast to surround Henry Cavill. And if we get that, I'm going to be really excited for it. We'll be here to cover it. What are your thoughts? Are you excited for Henry Cavill playing the Highlander? You know, what do you think about the filming getting started in January of 2025? Let us know what you think while you're doing that. Smash that like button, hit the notifications bell for future content, and most importantly, hit subscribe so we can continue to grow our channel. And TCB.